My earliest memories are of this house. I was born here at the turn of the century, so my whole childhood has been spent within these four walls. I watched other kids go by on their way to school, knowing that I'd be spending another day playing in the attic or exploring the grounds with my dogs. It was good for an imaginative kid like me, because there was always something new to discover, some new adventure to be had. That is, until we started renovating the house. It's a big job to restore a building like this, and it's not just the cost and the time involved, it's also the emotional toll it takes on you. As you rip out floorboards and lath and plaster, you're removing layers of history. You start to wonder who walked those floorboards before you. What did they look like? What were they doing? Were they happy? Sad? Were they ever aware that one day someone would be staring at the underside of their floorboards, wondering about them? The past intrudes into your present. Sometimes, it's literally the case. We found letters behind the lath and plaster dated 1897. That's the year the house was built. And then there were the handprints. They were all over the place. Tiny little handprints in the old wallpaper. At first, it was just a few small prints. Then we started finding more and more, and then we found a whole frieze of them going around the top of the room. Hundreds of little hands reaching out, touching, holding each other, forming shapes and patterns. Some of them making pictures, like a bird in flight, a butterfly, a fish, all around the top of the room. The wallpaper had become a canvas for a child's art. But why? Who was the child? Why did he draw pictures on the wallpaper? And what happened to him? I felt sorry for the boy on the wall. Whoever he was stuck there, unable to reach out to us, trapped forever behind the wallpaper. I promised myself I wouldn't rip down the paper, that I'd leave it up there for the boy, that he could stay in his world and we could respect his space. But my mom didn't agree. She thought the wallpaper was ugly, that it needed to go, that we should put up something fresh, something modern. So she started ripping it down. It came off in huge strips at first, then in smaller and smaller pieces, revealing the plaster underneath. But that wasn't like the old wallpaper. The handprints were still there, but now they were accompanied by scribbles and drawings, bigger ones that told a story. At first, we couldn't make out the drawings. They were faint, and the paper had been stuck to the wall for so long that the marks had become But slowly, as the damp cloth removed more of the paper, the pictures became clearer. There was a boy in a top hat, walking along a path, riding a tricycle, chasing a butterfly, sliding down a rope cart, climbing a ladder, reading a book. There were hundreds of drawings, thousands, maybe millions of tiny details showing a life lived in every season, a whole lifetime mapped onto the walls of this room. My mom said it was creepy. She wanted to get the rest of the wallpaper off, to clean the walls, to repaint them a nice color. But my dad stopped her. He knew that if he got the rest of the paper down, the drawings would fade away, disappear entirely. We hung new wallpaper over the old. It was white, with tiny blue flowers. Over the next few weeks, I kept staring at the wall, trying to see the pictures beneath the new wallpaper, trying to remember what they looked like. I knew my mom would never let me rip down the new wallpaper to reveal the old again. So I tried my best to memorize the images, to capture them in my mind, so I could always remember. One night though, I woke up to strange scratching noises. I heard them coming from right here, from this very room. I stood up in bed and listened. Was someone up here in the attic? Had a bird flown in through one of the cracks in the roof? Or was it something else? The scratching came again, louder this time, like nails on wood. I threw back the covers and went to investigate. As I climbed the stairs to the attic, I felt my heart beating faster. I imagined all sorts of things up there. Spiders and mice, bats, owls, foxes. But as I pushed open the door and turned on the light, I saw nothing. Nothing except all the old junk we've been storing up here. What had made the noise? I went back to bed, pulling the covers up to my chin, but sleep wouldn't come. I tossed and turned, listening intently to every creak and groan of the old house. Then I heard a voice. I sat bolt upright in bed. Did someone say something? I strained to listen. There it was again. Someone whispering right outside my window. I jumped out of bed and rushed to the window. I flung it open and leaned out. I called out into the darkness, but all I could hear was the wind rustling the trees. I went downstairs to where my parents were sleeping. I shook my dad awake and told him about the noise, about the voice. Dad sat up in bed, rubbed his eyes and yawned. He told me to go back to bed, that it was probably just the wind, but I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing scratching noises and whispers all night long. In the morning, I told my mom about it. She was no more convinced than my dad. But after I'd gone back to bed, she got up too and went out to the window. She stood there a long time, listening to the wind in the trees. I don't know what she was thinking, but when she finally came back to bed, she told me we were going to do something about the boy in the wall. She took out the old wallpaper again, and this time, she brought along a bucket of lime. The stuff makes paint stick better, but it's also used to kill off fungus and bacteria. I think my mom was hoping it would kill the spirits in the wallpaper. She covered the wall in a thick layer of lime, then put up a new roll of wallpaper. This time, it was green with white flowers. When she stepped back to admire her work, she noticed something weird. There were patches of the old wallpaper still stuck to the wall, and in the middle of those patches were the handprints, still wet, as if someone had painted them only yesterday. It was like she'd taken the wallpaper off and put it back on again. That's when I heard the voice. It was coming from right here, right where I'm standing. It said my name, and it wasn't my imagination this time. I could feel the vibrations of the voice in my bones. I knew it was real. My mom screamed and fell back, knocking over the bucket of lime. The green wallpaper ripped down to reveal the handprints once more, and when we looked closely, we saw that underneath the handprints were dozens of tiny footprints. Muddy footprints like a child had stomped through the wallpaper into our reality. My dad didn't wait around to find out what else might be lurking behind the wallpaper. He grabbed the sledgehammer and started smashing it. Plaster rained down on us as the wall began to crumble, and as the dust settled, we saw that the footprints had left deep gouges in the plaster. It was as if the boy himself had reached out and clawed his way through to touch us. But how? How could he have done that? And where had he gone? My dad smashed the rest of the wall, but instead of revealing more footprints, he uncovered something even stranger, a jagged hole in the plaster, like the wall had been shot through with a cannon. I reached out to touch it, but my mom stopped me. She was scared. She thought the hole might get bigger, that it might suck us into another dimension, but I wasn't scared. I wanted to see where the boy had gone. I wanted to talk to him. I poked my head through the hole and gasped. It led to a dark, narrow passageway. I felt a cold breeze on my neck and heard the sound of rushing water somewhere far ahead. I could also hear the boy. He was calling my name, beckoning me to come closer. What did he want? Was he friendly or was he dangerous? I wanted to go after him, but my mom pulled me away from the hole and quickly plastered it over. Now, I still hear the boy sometimes. He talks to me in my dreams and sometimes during the day when I least expect it. I've accepted that he'll never stop reaching out to me, that he needs my help to escape the wall. I can feel his frustration as he scrapes and claws at the plaster trying to break free. And when the moon is full, I can hear him scratching at the roof in the middle of the night. I keep telling myself I'll get the wall down someday. I'll rip out the wallpaper and free the boy from the wall. But I haven't yet. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'm scared of what I might find behind the wallpaper. Or maybe it's my fault. Maybe I'm the reason the boy is trapped there in the first place. After all, it was me who drew the pictures.